Regulations seems to be moving at 100 miles an hour now in our industry.
Yeah.
Things are constantly changing. There's a
Right.
lot of information too that regulators have to keep up with.
Mm-hmm.
So put on your former regulator hat for me. So when you would go in to investigate companies, or
Yeah.
before you even open an investigation,
Yeah.
what were you looking for, and how is technology now playing a role in helping with those investigations?
Sure, absolutely. So as regulators, we actually look at data in deciding whether to open an investigation and bring an enforcement action against a company. Specifically, we look at fundamental things like policies and procedures, the company's training program, but we also really delve into the consumer complaint process at the company. We look at consumer complaints, and we also review the company's commitment and monitoring of their communications with consumers. Unfortunately, a lot of companies fail on that front. They really have a hard time collecting data, giving us data that we could sort of process and assess in order to review whether to bring an enforcement action.
So why is that ultimately that these companies can't offer up that data then?
I think there's several aspects to this question, and I'm going to go by the segment that's relevant. So for the big banks, the big financial institutions, the problem really is they usually acquire companies or they merge with companies, and they have systems that really don't talk to each other. The second big issue is that there's so many avenues for marketing these days. You have your main website, you have mobile, you have social media, you have chat, you have text, you have phone calls. And it's really hard to put together the data that regulators need given so many avenues. I think another reason is currently large institutions rely on people as opposed to technology. And given the many avenues for marketing, missteps, misrepresentations to consumers, it's hard to pull that all together. So that's a problem endemic in big banks and big financial institutions. And on the other side of that are smaller fintech players who are very lightly capitaled, who probably have one or two legal compliance professional, and who also market heavily. They also use web, they also use mobile, they use social media heavily, they use chat, they have sales reps. They're also bound by the same regulations that govern big banks and big financial institutions. They have to comply with the Truth in Lending Act. They have to comply with state laws regarding unfair and deceptive acts and practices. So it's really hard for a small fintech player to comply. But that's where companies like PerformLine come in and just offer a groundbreaking solution.
PerformLine's technology focuses on monitoring consumer interactions. Why is that so important in today's regulatory environment?
A solution like PerformLine is groundbreaking because really, again, as a fintech company, your resources are very limited, but your liability is also unlimited. You have the federal agency looking at your compliance and regulatory programs, but you also have state AGs who are looking at you, who are looking at your marketing statements, who are looking at your web statements, your mobile statements, chats, social media. And as a former regulator and GC compliance officer to fintech companies, I am just thrilled that a company like PerformLine exists because it's cost effective, it's efficient, and it covers the company's compliance needs with regard to marketing.
Great. Well, Jobe, thank you so much for your insights.
Yeah, thank you.